Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever the case may be, wherever you are in this bright, beautiful world we call home. This is Cross Examinations. I am your host, Mike S. Miller. I'm going to skip the usual intros today and just say Happy New Year. 2019 is upon us, and what has changed? What has changed? What has changed? There seems to be an explosion of pedophiles on Twitter today. Did somehow, and I have to apologize to Tug for stepping on his stream because I just saw that he was doing this topic as well. Boy, down and down and down the slippery slope we go, right? This is going to get a little controversial, and I know this will offend some people, and I apologize in advance for those who offend. I know that people don't choose. I don't want to play politics with this, you know. People are attracted to who they are attracted to. The circumstances of why they are attracted to who they are attracted to, they range. There's little debate about it, but there is some debate about it. But as for nature versus nurture, it is a nurture thing. I think almost all evidence points towards nurture. People who were abused themselves, people who were raised in physically or emotionally abusive or single parent, and again, this is going to offend some people, single parent households where there is no father, there's no father figure to emulate, there are no examples of how the natural, yes, I'm sorry, I'm using the word natural. I know it's such an offense to use the word natural. But the natural attraction for the correct biological attraction is somehow skewed. And I do not lay the fault on the child or that grown person for having gone through situations and having what are, and again, I apologize, but it's just a scientific word that is accurate, abnormal sexual proclivities, attractions. It's not their fault. It's not their fault. It is their, somehow or another, the natural biological progression has been interrupted, or the course of that progression has been altered to the point where as an adult, at some point as an adult or as a teen or even as an adolescent, they diverge from the biological standard and developed proclivities and attractions towards same sex or wrong gender, misgendering themselves, or whatever it may be. As a society, we have, over the course of my lifetime, which is since the 70s, right? Although this started before that. This started, from the way I see it, this started the normalization or popularization. I mean, obviously it's driving a lot of this stuff because the media is so far left, they just don't care. But the normalization of aberrant, abnormal proclivities and behaviors. I know I'm going to piss some people off here, but you know, the truth is an offense to those who do not believe it. Tell a socialist that capitalism works. They will be offended. So, you know, I probably shouldn't watch the chat because I want to get through this without being all screwy. So the way it seems to me, if you go back and you watch this on the timeline of modern history, you had the sexual revolution. Well, actually, before that, you had women's lib. And this is the funny thing, because I don't want to get in a situation where you throw the baby out with the bathwater. There are obviously very, very positive benefits to you know, women's lib. There were. I'm not saying, you know, throw the whole thing out, but the consequences of what you might think of as the extremes of the women's lib movement, where it's like, I don't need a man no more because I can bring on the bacon, fry it up in the pan, blah, 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 right? You have women's lib. And this is, pay attention to the slippery slope here. In the 1950s and the 1960s, would it ever have crossed anyone's mind, even the most ardent women's libber, that what they were doing would someday lead to an effort to normalize pedophilia? No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. But the conservatives at the time were like, hey, you know what? The woman's place is in the home. The man's place is to go out and bust his butt and work dangerous jobs and die young so that he can take care of his wife and his family. And, you know, caveman mentality, right? Well, the Bible says that, you know, well, it doesn't say anything about women not working, so I'm not going to go that far. But the you know, the man is the head of the family. But the man is to, and the woman is to be, what's the word? Is it obedient? I don't know, the exact scripture escapes me. But essentially, if you boil it down, it means the woman respects the man, and the man loves the woman. And if you know anything about men and women, what men desire more than love is respect, right? We have a sense of need for respect, and therefore we do things in our lives and in our occupations and for our families that generate and garner respect, right? Women, sorry, are built differently. Women want to be loved, right? And therefore they do things and they act in ways and they present themselves in ways to garner and generate love. Men and women, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Everybody knows this except for people who are mentally deluded, right? So the Bible says that we have our different roles. And part of that role is the men do the things that they'll die for respect, right? They will go out there, they will fight in wars to die for the honor of their family and their country. They will go work jobs that will kill them 20 years before their wives die. And women, they nurture and they bless and they are God's gift to humanity. I love women. That's not to say they're not identical. We are not the same. There's a plug and an outlet. There's no absolute equality between the sexes, the genders, because we are not the same. You know? We're just different. And the women's liberation thing turned into a women's equality thing, which then, the sexual revolution came on top of that, and you started having this movement, and I remember this as a child, towards single motherhood being propagated and praised. And this is actually my wife's. I bought it for her because it's so warm. And then what did you end up with? You started to see the illegitimacy rate climb and climb. I think, I don't have all these numbers at the tip of my head, but I think like in the 40s and 50s, the illegitimacy rate for whites, Caucasians in America was something around 4%. It was like almost unheard of, right? And today, I think it's like 40% or something. If someone wants to correct me, get me the actual stats, but it's skyrocketed. And then the illegitimacy in the Black community was hella low, and now it's like 70%. So what happens when you destroy the nuclear family because you're forcing this media mentality on all these women that, hey, if you're not, doing everything a man can do, then, you're slapping all women in the face. Or it's this bullying of young girls who just want to be young girls and grow up and get married and have kids because that's the best thing in life. But the media and the culture is crapping on girls who want to do that, and telling them, no, you have to go out and act like a man because that's how you become equal. It's like, but what are you doing to your families? You know what you're doing to your families? You're raising a generation where there's a ton of kids out there that don't have fathers. And those are kids that have a way higher propensity towards not just crime, not just having a terrible life. I mean, I know this isn't everyone, so don't say I'm trying to broad brush this whole thing. But this is all statistics. But what are you getting? You're getting a generation of kids who aren't living with the proper role models of both parents, who are themselves living under the proper roles of man and wife. And therefore, when a young child who sees that the nurturing, loving parent is her father, and the bossy man, brings home the bacon and is in charge of the house parent is the mother, and her natural proclivities as a young girl is to be nurturing and loving, she identifies instead with her father. And then when she's 16 years old, she decides she's a boy. This happened to my neighbors. And I watched it. I could have predicted it. And now, down and down and down the slippery slope we go. I had this argument with my friend Donnie. And because, in the 80s, we were you know, buds, and in the 80s, homosexuality wasn't this thing that the media paraded as the next best thing since sliced bread. And so now he's fallen in with the accepted norm that, hey, there's nothing wrong with being gay, and there's nothing wrong with this, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm like, Donnie, I'm like, when we were in college, would you have for a second thought that, you know, in 30 years we were going to be arguing about allowing grown men into bathrooms with little girls? Would you have thought that was going to be an issue? And of course, no, because you don't think about these things a generation away. You don't think about how you lay the groundwork for societal change. Gosh, maybe they do on the other side, but we're just trying to like hold the line, right? It's like, hey, how far are we going to go with this? Well, now we know how far. Everybody knew that after gay marriage, after, you know, forcing the whole transsexual, whatever you want to call it, thing into the media, everybody knew pedophilia was next, right? Everybody knew it. No, nobody's gonna, nobody's. And now it's 2019, and suddenly it's all over Twitter. MAPS, they call it now. Minor attracted persons, or some crap like that. They're freaking pedophiles. All right? We are now so far down that slippery slope that started with women's liberation. How bad can a women's liberation be? And again, yeah, I know. I mean, women should have all the equal rights of men. That is not the thing. It is forcing men and women to try to fit the same roles because we're not the same. And this delusion has gone from that down the slippery slope, down the slippery slope, down the slippery slope, down the slippery slope. Now they want to normalize pedophilia. Freaking snap out of it. It'll be bestiality next. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Is there anything between pedophilia and bestiality? I mean, I know in some parts of the world they're already doing it with goats, but that's the normalization, right? Someone's going to want to marry their freaking dog next. Oh, wait. What is it? No, between then there might be incest. Oh, yes, incest. They're going to normalize incest. Incest, bestiality. Gosh, how what's after that? It's how deep and dark of a hole can this get? I mean, what level of depravity do we have to get to before people pull back and say, hey, you know what? I understand you have these desires, right? And I understand that they feel natural to you, but you've got to get a grip and realize that it is wrong, okay? Everyone has desires that they should not act on. It's called temptation, and giving into it is called sin. Normalizing sin, well, I guess that's the job of Satan, and that's the job of the mainstream media. Anyways, I think that's my rant. I had some clips of some of the crap these idiots are saying on Twitter. But if you want that, after this, go jump on Tug's stream and watch his, because boy, bestiality, necrophilia, you just grossed me out. How could you gross me out like that? Tug is doing probably still at this moment a much more in-depth. He's got all the screenshots. He's got everything. I'm not even going to bother. I had a few I was going to do, but I think I've made the point. And oh, we have to hold the line. Someone has to hold the line. I prayed 2 years ago. I walked up to the front of the church when my church asked for prayer. And I prayed, or I asked, this is a funny story. I said, Pastor Grant, I'm like, I have a vision. I had a vision. I felt the vision was from God, that I want to create a media company or corporation or whatever you'd call it. I can't remember the exact words. I want to pull Hollywood back towards the right, or at the very least the center. And he laughed at me. The pastor at my church, when I asked for prayer, laughed at my prayer. I want everyone here and everyone who hears this to pray that prayer with me. Somehow we've got to steer this ship back in the right direction, because this slippery slope is going to drive this country and this world into hell. And we have to course correct. And I just beg you guys to pray that every day with me, for me. Even if it's not me, some media, some way to force the media back to the right. Or we're going to go right off the cliff. We're going to go right off the cliff. God is not going to bless this crap. Right? Jesus said it is better for those people that a millstone be hung around their neck and they be thrown into the ocean. And now the normalization has begun. So please, everyone, even if you don't believe it's possible, all things are possible through Christ. All things are possible through Christ. So please. God is sad in 2019. Yeah. Well, at least he's not disappointed. Because if you know the end from the beginning, you can't be disappointed because you know what's coming. But if you would, please do pray that with me. Pray it with me right now. Lord God in heaven, please find a way for us to correct this course. This is the greatest nation on earth. This is your nation, Lord. Help us to make the right decisions and to stand firm on your word and in your grace, and do what must be done for you. In Jesus' name, amen. Oh, please hear our prayer. Yeah, they should. The map sickos should be sterilized. And that's another thing. Oh man, my mind jumped straight to, yeah, freaking throw these guys off of a bridge. Oh my gosh, they children. It's children, man. Did I put Neosporin on that? No. I have a cat. I want to go outside, so I put her outside, and my daughter, and she kind of cut me. Nasser's Smelly Stick Butter says, well, Mike, at least you're on the right side of things. No diddling kids, cats, dogs, sisters, brothers, cousins, uncles, daughters, grandkids, etc., etc. Yeah, that's the thing. Can this slippery slope hit the brakes? Is it even possible? I mean, you know, there have been in history, there have been revivals of faith and traditional values, and you know, I don't want America to crash and burn. I love this country. I love what this country was built on and what this country is based on. And I love the freedom. I love the freedom people have here to be idiots. But, you know, be an idiot. Just don't normalize idiocy to the point where you're praising it and saying people should emulate it, right? Idiocy should be looked down on and shunned, and I don't know. I'm at a loss. I'm really at a loss. This line has to be drawn. This line has to be drawn in the cement, not in the sand. We have to plant our flag here, draw the line, and say no more, no more. You've pushed way beyond the boundaries of normalcy, of decency, of anything God will bless in this country, and that's it. We're not going to take it anymore. We are certainly, and you know, even to a certain degree, with the you know, transvestite, transsexual, trans this, that, or whatever you want to label that, at least, you know, for the most part, they're adults making their own choices. Like I said, I love that we live in a country where you are allowed to be an idiot. You have the freedom to do most whatever stupid things you want to do to yourself. I'm a very, very libertarian that way. But we draw the line. We have to, at the very basest line, we have to draw the line and protect children. Oh my gosh. I'm like boiling inside my chest. It's not a heart attack. It's just this roiling anger mixed with disgust, mixed with indignation. And I think 2019 is going to be this fantastic year on so many levels. But if they're making this kind of a push, like right out of the gate, what are we going to do? I don't know. Give me some ideas, guys. There is no innocence for the kids in North America anymore. Oh yeah. Yeah. I want to get into millstone manufacturing. You know, I've gotten this irate before about the pedophiles in the Catholic Church, you know, being protected and all that stuff. And I said, you know what? What the Pope should do is rent a cruise ship, get all the pedophiles from anywhere around the world under his control, because he's the Pope, right? So he's the boss of all of them. Put them on that cruise ship, get a bunch of cinder blocks, and take them out into the middle of the Atlantic Ocean and throw them overboard. And yeah, is it me just being this angry that I would fully anyone who does that to a child? I know God has forgiveness. I can't. I don't have it in me. I'm not perfect. I'm not God. I don't have that level of forgiveness. If you do this to a kid, I want you freaking dead. I don't want you castrated. I want an axe buried in your skull. Is that wrong? I mean, it might be wrong. I might be wrong. I just don't. It frustrates. I think my blood pressure's up right now. All right. Margaret Miracle, I agree. What does she say? Any society that doesn't protect children deserves to die. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. God is not gonna uplift America if we allow this crap to happen. I mean, zero tolerance. Zero tolerance. At least from what I hear, pedophiles don't do well in prison. I hear that if you're a pedophile and they know you're a pedophile in prison, you get a long just reward for your actions. Which actually, gosh, I'm letting my anger get the better of me. But I'll let it for a second, which is actually better than having them killed, is having them abused incessantly by larger, angrier men in prison. I'm just gonna let that out there. I'm gonna let it out. Yes, do that, and then after let's say after the age of the child they abused. So say they had abused an 8-year-old. So after 8 years of abuse in prison, then we bury an axe in their head. Is that just my flesh speaking? Am I that full of hate towards these people? It's so funny because, you know, you're as a believer, you're not supposed to hate anyone, but I legitimately can't say that I don't hate these people. Maybe I need to repent of that. Maybe I need to find somewhere in my heart to love them and want what's best for them. But look at this kid. He's 12 years old. If somebody did that to this kid, I would freaking grab my samurai sword and I would chop him into tiny little pieces. I swear to you. I swear on the Bible. And I'd go to jail for it. I don't care. I would. Yeah. Hate what they do, not them. They are lost, Mike. I know. I'd want to. You know, I may be being a hypocrite right now. It is such an offense to me, and I'm just a man. I can't imagine what an offense this is to God. You know? I'm so angry. I'm so angry. I'm so angry. I'm almost in tears. This is so weird. I'm afraid for our country. I'm afraid for our children. I don't know what to do. This makes me want to go see what Tug's saying. Yeah, I mean, Tug's got all the screen caps. Yeah, I don't know. Have I said too much already? It's only been a half an hour. I feel like I'm like wrecked. Victor the Ripper. I was molested by an older cousin when I was 18, then again by a younger cousin when I was 24. I need to stop drinking soy. Oh man, I'm sorry, Victor. I hope you have taken a garden shears to their genitalia. It's a sick act. I get your anger. Pray about it. Yeah. Yeah, this isn't even happening. It's not like this has happened to someone in my family. It's just, oh, you were joking, Victor? Really? That's not funny. I know a guy who, his name was Kyle. He was I met him in near Hillcrest, which is the gay part of San Diego. It's like our little San Francisco. And Kyle, I met him at a Middle Eastern sort of a bakery. You know, they had falafels and gyros and stuff. Gosh, dang it! I'm actually tearing up. That's how mad I am. And Kyle had been living the gay lifestyle for 10, was it 10 or 20 years? 10 or 15 years, something like that. And he had told me, you know, he was raised Christian, and he knew that it was wrong. But as a child, he had been raped repeatedly, on on different occasions by different people and groups of people. And he understood that that skewed his sense of sexuality. And he dove headfirst into the homosexual lifestyle, because that was his proclivity at that point. And he said that he had had over 1,000 partners, and that it was a miracle of God that he did not have AIDS. Because he's like, when you're a gay man, you live in a, I'm telling you, Hillcrest, for those who don't know, Hillcrest is, I mean, there's rainbow flags everywhere. You know, they've got great dance clubs. It's and he's like, he told me all this stuff about the gay community that, like, they don't tell outsiders, right? And if you're gay and you live in a gay community, you can confirm this, I'm sure. He said the abuse is rampant. Abuse in the gay community is like unparalleled. There's almost no such thing as monogamous relationships. I suppose if you're like Farmer Joe living out in, you know, Kalamazoo, and there's one other gay guy in town, you can have a monogamous relationship. But when you live in a gay community, think of it this way. When you're a young, testosterone-filled man and you are not religious or faithful, or you don't believe in the morals of monogamy or the morals of celibacy until you're married, what do you want to do? Right? You go to a bar, and when you go to a bar, you go to the bar and you want to get laid. Right? And 19 times out of 20, you don't. Because chicks generally aren't built like that. Unless they're whores. Sorry. But a girl, anytime she wants to go out and get laid, pretty much all she has to do is go to a bar and find a guy. Right? Now imagine it's a bar and it's all guys, and they're all there to get laid. Not difficult. Not difficult. He said that he couldn't even have real friendships with other gay men, because if he called someone else or they called him, hey, close the door, close the door, close the door now. What the heck? Isaac, can you hear me?
What?
All right, that's fine. Thanks, Jojo. Get out. Close the door. He said that he couldn't get on the phone with another gay dude for 60 seconds before it turns into a, hey, do you want to come over and have sex? Can you imagine just not even being able to have a conversation? And he was like, he was done. He was done. He knew it was wrong in his heart. He was looking to get out. He wanted to go to you know what the Exodus places are, where they pray the gay away type place. He wanted to go to one of those places because he wanted to change. He didn't want to be gay anymore, and he didn't want to live that lifestyle anymore. And so it was weird. One time we had this, I was just sitting there in my condo, and the phone rings, and you know, I had caller ID. So I saw that it was Kyle, and I answered the phone, but he wasn't there, right? And so I called him back, and I'm like, Kyle, did you call? And he's like, no, I did not call. He's like, I'm like, are you sure you didn't call? Because I have it on my caller ID that you called just now. He's like, no, I've been on the phone. Like, you know, it wasn't me. And I'm like, that's freaking weird, because I mean, literally like 10 seconds ago you called. He's like, no, I've been on the phone. It wasn't me. And I'm like, well, did you want to talk? And he's like, yeah, hold on a second. I have to get rid of this other call. So he clicks over and he totally changes his personality. He's like, there's this guy on the other line that I have to. I'm like, Kyle, it's still me. And he goes, oh, click. And he hangs up on me. So I go over and I'm like, wow, something is going on really weird right now. So I sat down at my desk and I just started praying for him, like hard prayer. And I just felt this blanket of the spirit like on me, like, wow, I'm in the middle of a spiritual battle here. And I just kept praying and praying and praying and praying. I'd never felt the Holy Spirit that strong and that physical in my life before. And the phone rings, and it's Kyle, and he's like, Mike, I don't know what just happened, but there were faces coming out of the wall, like a demonic. I don't know if he had a vision or if there's just, he's like, I have to get out of here. He's like, I have to leave now. I cannot be in this place anymore. So I gave him money. We got him on the bus. He went to, I think it was one of those places like in Virginia or something. He left all of his stuff in San Diego. He grabbed like a backpack's worth of stuff or a suitcase worth of stuff and just beat the hell out of Dodge. And that was the last time I saw him. But man, he was telling me, this is just, I talked to this guy. We became friends, and I talked to him for a while. But the stuff he told me about the gay community in San Diego would freaking straighten your short and curlies, man. It was so depraved, and you know, right out of the horse's mouth. You know, and it's heartbreaking. And it was heartbreaking. Why I came up with that, or why that, I don't know. I don't know. Time Panda. This seems like a guy who made bad choices and need to get out of a very bad place. He probably also need to seek help from a shrink. Well, I don't think him getting raped was making bad choices. But yeah, I don't know. Tell me, if you live in some place with if you're gay and you live in essentially a gay town, tell me what your experience has been. And we have normalized that culture. Sin imprisons, grace gives rest. I know it sounds crazy, but sodomy is actually an act of witchcraft. It actually helps evil spirits manifest in our reality. Whoa, that's a first. I've never heard of that before. We do not realize how much we are in a spiritual battle. Yeah. And now for something completely different. Yeah, I hope he's well. Like I said, this was 1999, 99, I think. So this is like right when people really started getting cell phones. So he didn't have a cell phone or anything, and I don't think I even had a cell phone at the time. So yeah, we after I bought him the bus ticket to get out of town, yeah, that was it. Never heard from him again. I'm all out of my macadamia nut iced coffee. There's no such thing as God. Jason P., prove it. David Birchfield, it is normal to hate people for serious sins. The better thing is pray that they could realize that they have a problem and be free of it. There is a reason it is so difficult. I agree. Now I'm wondering if that call could have been an act of God to get you to talk that night. I think so, because he said he was on the phone. And so literally it would have been, I don't know how his number could have come up on my phone at the same time he was on someone else's phone. You had empathy for someone in need and you helped. That's faith in action. Jason P., bone cancer in children. So you're saying that because bad things happen, there is no God. That's your evidence. Because bad things happen, there is no God. Victor the Ripper, true story. I had a friend in my gym. We went to get a post-workout meal. Turned out it was a gay date. I just didn't know. Victor, it sounds like you tripped someone's gaydar. Pedos deserve no quarter. Yeah. They deserve to be quartered. I see the real question. Why are you wearing a Chewbacca outfit? I know, right? I should get a little. And actually, it's getting warm in here. Because I didn't have the the heater on in the house. And yes, I still have my shirt on from yesterday, so no complaints. I gotta change my shirt. Close the door, close the door. Well, I didn't want my son listening to that story. I mean, he's 9 years old, 10 years old. Take that, John Malin. Like attacking Michigan and the two gay people in Kalamazoo. I have friends that live in Kalamazoo, actually. Pedos don't see children as we do, only as something to use for pleasure. No, Margaret, it's love. They love the little children. Freaking sick bastards. I fully believe this is why the power structure is trying to feminize boys. They are the sexual preferences of the rulers of this world. We are governed by some unbelievably sick individuals. If it's organized, that's the weird thing. I'd have to say it's organized spiritually, as if they knew what would happen, right? Like, is it just the depravity of man that we allow this sick, slippery slope to continue? Is it just us? Are we so disgusting that this is what we allow? On the one hand, yes. But would we have had the foresight to start chipping away I don't know. It's when you say it's a power structure trying to do it. The only power structure I can think of that would have that kind of foresight would be the satanic, right? And I don't pretend for a second that there is no Satan, and I don't pretend for a second that he's not smarter than all of our smartest humans put together, because he is. Yeah. Anyways, if there is a God, he deserves no respect whatsoever. I disagree, but that's probably a longer conversation than we're going to have here right now, Jason P. If you have specific questions, I'm perfectly happy to answer them. But that's just sort of a statement of disbelief. There's no such thing as an innocent person. Well, I would say infants are innocent. But toddlers aren't. If you've ever had kids, you know, as soon as they know how to do things wrong, they start doing them. They'll lie. They'll steal from each other. They'll cheat. Yeah. It's funny. People say we're not born sinners. We're innocent. But as soon as a kid is capable of sinning, they will start doing it, unless you teach them better, unless you correct them. So, no biggie. I'll wear my shirt 3 days. No, I got out of bed and I threw that thing on because it was cold in here, and I sleep in the shirt. I wear it. So, rain falls on the saint and the sinner alike. Correct. Disconnected from reality, they are. Just look up, what's up, Cross Comics? Just look up arguments for the problem of evil. Oh, you're talking to Jason. Demons are non-corporeal beings. They are persons who seek to prompt people to do unspeakable acts. They are spiritual. Indeed. Nathan Rosario says, the argument of why do bad things happen to good people is one of the oldest objections to Christianity and has been answered by scholars many times over. Yeah. And I've even done that topic, I believe, on this show. I think we're on a different topic today. So I have foresight because some of us don't have foreskin. Hey-oh! Look at Shira, look at Karl Manvers, look closely. They are doing it on purpose, and they are godless Marxists. Yeah, I know that the media is pushing, and that it's the next step towards erasing the differences between men and women. It's insanity, is what it is. It is. I've said this before. Maybe I don't know if I've said it here, but it's just a plain and obvious truth. Okay? And you may call me whatever kind of phobic you want, but this is science. This is reality. This isn't opinion. If your genetics, your body, your DNA, and your mind disagree on what sex you are or what sex you are attracted to, it is not your body, your mind, or it's not your body, your DNA, your genetics, your sex that is wrong. It is your mind that is wrong. Okay? That is simple black and white facts. There's no, you have to get philosophical and theoretical to disagree with that, because the facts are the facts, and facts don't care about your feelings. So it's easier. Well, I don't know if it's easier, but it is certainly better to correct your mind than to correct your body. So if there's some way you can find to do that, then that is where all of your efforts should be, not your body. Don't take your body away from what you know to be its truth. Your body has its truth. Its truth is physical reality, right? Your mental reality and your physical reality should align. If they do not, it is not your physical reality that is wrong. It is your mental reality. So deal with that as you will. Everyone is capable of sin. It is about erasing all of us. Isaac, your mother is behind you calling you. I took the EVS pie diet over the last few days. The first human institution that God created after he created people was marriage. This is why Satan hates the family above all else, and is destroying the family unit has always been his priority. Yeah. A child being born with leukemia is deserved? No, what does deserve have to do with it? Oh, are you having a conversation with somebody else in the chat, Jason? Bad things happen to good people. Good things happen to bad people. Things happen. There's a bumper sticker that reflects that truth. I don't think it was ever intended to prove that there is no God. S happens, right? That it happens does not prove nor disprove a creator of the universe. TR French says, it is the expression of your genetics interacting with the world around you in time. Haggis Moose says, you ain't seen my body. It definitely needs corrected. Well, you know, there could be some course corrections here and there for some of us. Darn it, we're getting ready to go to my mom's. I don't want to cut this short. Oh, we have only got 3 minutes left, 2 minutes left anyway. So let's get one more good question in here. I'd like to end this on a high note. It is 2019. It is a whole new world. We've got new fights to fight, new flags to plant, new walls to build, new buildings to build, new trebuchets to build. It is going to be a great, great year. I feel it in my bones. I feel it in my spirit. 2018 was a great year. 2019 is hopefully going to make it look like it was mediocre. And so I hope everyone has planted their feet in the ground and, you know, readied themselves to just get moving, get going, get your world into shape. Clean your room, you know, as Jordan Peterson says. Oh yeah, Jordan Peterson announced today that he and what's that other guy's name? Dave something or other. They're leaving Patreon, which means I would assume, I didn't watch the whole video, but I assume they're starting their own Patreon type thing. So that a new platform for some of us. This was because of Sargon of Akkad was demonetized on or deplatformed from Patreon. So things are going in the right direction, I think, in general. But that doesn't mean we have to ignore the things that are going in the wrong direction. And I think we need to all stand up together. We need to pray each day for goodness and grace and rightness and God's will to prevail in our nation and in the world. And with that, I got to say Happy New Year to you all. Thank you for being here. First episode of Cross Examinations for 2019 is in the can. Love you all, and I will see you tomorrow. God bless.